Your SP is texting non-stop, confessing love and ready to commit. Imagine waking up to your phone lighting up with message after message from the one person you've been thinking about. Every notification carries warmth, excitement, and sincerity. They aren't texting because they feel obligated. They're texting because they genuinely can't stop thinking about you. They tell you they've missed you. They confess feelings they've been holding back. They admit they've realized your value, and they begin talking about a future together. If this feels like a distant dream, stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not about chasing someone's attention or trying to control another person's choices. It is about understanding the incredible connection between your inner world and the reality you experience. The relationship you desire begins long before a single text appears on your screen. It begins with the assumptions you repeatedly accept as true. When you change the story you tell yourself, you change the version of reality that reflects back to you. Instead of asking, "Why aren't they texting me?" you begin living from the certainty that you are already loved, already chosen, already prioritized, and already the person they cannot wait to hear from. From that moment forward, everything starts to shift. The silence loses its power, doubt fades away. Anxiety is replaced with quiet confidence because you know your inner world is writing tomorrow's conversations. As you continue listening, allow yourself to step into the version of you who is naturally adored, deeply appreciated, and impossible to forget. See your specific person smiling when your name appears on their phone. Hear them sending heartfelt messages throughout the day, expressing how much they love talking to you, how deeply they care, and how ready they are to build a committed relationship. Let these scenes become familiar, because familiarity creates belief, and belief shapes experience. Today, you are not here to hope for love, you are here to embody it. You are here to become the version of yourself who no longer waits for commitment, because commitment is already a natural part of your identity. Stay until the very end, because each moment of this message is designed to strengthen your conviction, deepen your emotional certainty, and help you remain firmly rooted in the reality where your specific person is texting non-stop, confessing their love openly, and joyfully choosing to commit to you. The moment you truly accept that this loving reality already belongs to you within, the outer world begins finding countless ways to agree. The foundation of every loving relationship is not found in another person's behavior. It is found in the story you consistently tell yourself about who you are. If you see yourself as someone who is deeply loved, valued, pursued, and worthy of lasting commitment, the world has an incredible way of reflecting that belief back to you. This is why the greatest transformation never begins with changing your specific person. It begins with changing your own self-concept. Instead of wondering why they have not texted yet, or questioning whether they truly care, choose a new identity. Become the person who naturally expects loving communication because it feels completely normal. See yourself as someone whose phone lights up with heartfelt messages, someone who receives good morning texts, thoughtful check-ins throughout the day, and genuine expressions of affection without needing to ask for them. The more familiar this identity becomes, the less you react to temporary appearances. Even if the outer world seems quiet for a moment, you remain emotionally steady because your confidence comes from within rather than from circumstances. Every lasting change begins with this quiet inner certainty. As you continue to occupy the state of already being loved, your thoughts become more peaceful, your emotions become lighter, and your expectations naturally shift from fear to confidence. You stop asking whether your specific person will reach out because, in your mind, they already have. You stop wondering whether they are thinking about you because your new assumption is that you are constantly on their mind. This isn't about pretending or forcing positive thinking. It is about consciously choosing the version of reality you wish to experience and returning to it until it feels natural. Your imagination becomes the place where your future relationship is rehearsed. Hear them saying, "I couldn't stop thinking about you today." Imagine seeing long messages filled with honesty, admiration, and excitement. Feel the joy of reading words that express love, appreciation, and a sincere to spend more time together. Allow these inner experiences to become so vivid that they feel more real than any passing doubt. When your inner conversations consistently reflect love, your outer conversations begin moving in the same direction. The reality you experience is always responding to the assumptions you repeatedly entertain. If you assume distance, you often notice more distance. If you assume closeness, affection, and commitment, you begin noticing evidence that supports those expectations. This shift also changes the energy you bring into every interaction. You no longer communicate from fear of losing someone. You communicate from confidence, warmth, and emotional security. That confidence is naturally attractive because it reflects someone who already knows they are worthy of love. As your self-image strengthens, your specific person begins reflecting that change in surprising ways. They may start initiating conversations more frequently, sending longer messages, expressing curiosity about your life, or finding reasons to stay connected. They may begin sharing emotions they previously kept hidden, or admit that they have been thinking about you far more than they realized. These changes are not random. They mirror the new story you have accepted about yourself. Every loving text, every heartfelt confession, and every step toward commitment is an echo of the inner identity you have chosen to embrace. Instead of waiting for love to prove your worth, you recognize that your worth comes first, and love naturally follows. When you consistently live from the assumption that you are cherished, prioritized, and deeply appreciated, you stop chasing reassurance because you already possess it within. The outer world simply catches up to the inner conviction you have maintained. Stay loyal to this new version of yourself, even when immediate evidence has not yet appeared, because last transformation often begins invisibly. The seeds you plant in consciousness grow beneath the surface before they become visible in your experience. Trust that every loving assumption is taking root. Trust that every imagined conversation is shaping future conversations. Trust that every moment you choose confidence over fear strengthens the reality you desire. Soon, what once existed only in imagination begins unfolding naturally. Your phone fills with meaningful messages. Your specific person openly shares their feelings. They tell you how much you mean to them, how often they think about you, and how ready they are to build a committed relationship. What once seemed impossible starts feeling completely natural because it is simply the outer reflection of the person you decided to become within. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is replacing the expectation of uncertainty with the expectation of unwavering commitment. Many people unknowingly spend their days anticipating mixed signals, delayed replies, or emotional distance. They constantly check their phones, wondering if today will finally be the day their specific person reaches out. That state of waiting keeps the mind focused on what seems absent instead of what is desired. The moment you decide that love is no longer uncertain, everything within you begins to change. You no longer define your relationship by temporary appearances or isolated moments of silence. Instead, you define it by the conviction that you are already someone who is deeply loved, consistently chosen, and naturally committed to. This inner certainty creates a completely different experience of life. Instead of feeling anxious when your phone is quiet, you remain calm because your confidence is rooted in your assumptions rather than your circumstances. You begin each day expecting connection instead of disappointment. You assume that your specific person enjoys hearing from you, looks forward to your conversations, and feels happiest when the two of you are connected. These expectations gradually become so familiar that they feel like simple facts rather than hopeful wishes. As your assumptions change, your emotional state changes as well. You carry yourself differently. Your thoughts become more encouraging, your conversations become lighter, and your reactions become more balanced because you are no longer trying to force an outcome. You are living from the feeling that the outcome already belongs to you. Imagine your specific person waking up excited to send you the first message of the day. Picture them smiling while typing long texts, eager to tell you about their day, asking how you're doing, and finding reasons to continue the conversation. Hear them saying, I love talking to you, you're always on my mind, or I can't imagine my future without you. Let these scenes become emotionally familiar. They are not exercises in wishful thinking, they are reminders of the reality you are choosing to identify with. When your inner world consistently reflects devotion and commitment, your outer experiences begin to mirror those qualities. You also release the habit of measuring your relationship by every passing circumstance. A delayed reply no longer convinces you that something is wrong. A busy day no longer shakes your confidence. Instead, you remain anchored in the belief that love is stable, dependable, and always moving in your favor. This emotional stability allows you to respond with patience rather than fear, confidence rather than desperation, and trust rather than doubt. Ironically, this inner peace creates space for healthier, more natural interactions. Your specific person begins reflecting the version of them that aligns with your expectations. They become more expressive, more attentive, and more consistent because your dominant assumptions invite those qualities forward. Conversations deepen, messages become more meaningful, affection is expressed more openly. They begin discussing future plans, making time for you, and demonstrating through both words and actions that they value the connection you share. Commitment no longer feels like something you must convince them to embrace. It becomes the most natural next step because it already exists as your inner expectation. Remember that your expectations are powerful because they influence the lens through which you interpret every experience. When you expect love, you notice love. When you expect loyalty, you naturally recognize signs of loyalty. When you expect commitment, you become emotionally available to receive it. Continue returning to the assumption that you are already in the relationship you desire. Let thoughts of mutual devotion become your default. Let gratitude replace worry. Let certainty replace overthinking. As you persist in this new way of being, your reality begins reflecting it in beautiful ways. The texts become more frequent, the confessions become more heartfelt, and the desire for commitment becomes openly expressed. What once felt distant now feels inevitable, because you have aligned yourself with the identity of someone for whom lasting love is not a rare exception. It is simply the natural expression of who you are. Every meaningful conversation you long to have with your specific person begins in one place, your imagination. Before a heartfelt text appears on your screen, before they confess their feelings, before they tell you they want to commit and build a future together, those moments can first become alive within your inner world. Your imagination is not merely a place for idle daydreams. It is where you deliberately choose the experience you wish to embody. Instead of replaying memories of silence, confusion, or emotional distance, begin rehearsing the relationship you truly desire. Hear your specific person enthusiastically saying, I've been thinking about you all day. Imagine reading a long message filled with honesty, affection, and appreciation. Picture them telling you how grateful they are to have you in their life, how much they miss you whenever you're apart, and how they can't wait to spend more time with you. Let those conversations become so natural in your mind that they no longer feel like distant possibilities but familiar realities. As you return to these loving inner conversations day after day, your emotional state begins to transform. Instead of reacting to appearances, you respond from the confidence that what you have accepted inwardly is already taking shape. You no longer check your phone with anxiety because you have already experienced the joy of loving communication within. You no longer wonder whether they care because, in your inner conversations, their love has already been clearly expressed. This shift creates a remarkable sense of peace. You become emotionally fulfilled before the outer evidence arrives, and that fulfillment changes the way you move through life. You smile more easily, speak with greater confidence, and carry yourself with quiet assurance, because your happiness is no longer dependent on waiting for validation. It comes from the reality you have chosen to embrace within. The mind naturally reflects whatever it repeatedly dwells upon. If you constantly replay scenes of rejection, your emotions continue reinforcing those experiences. But when you intentionally dwell on scenes of love, connection, and commitment, your emotions begin aligning with those experiences instead. This is why persistence matters. A single positive thought is helpful, but a consistently occupied state is transformative. Continue hearing your specific person expressing admiration, saying they love talking to you, sharing how much they appreciate your presence, and confessing that they are ready to commit wholeheartedly. Feel the warmth of those conversations. Feel the excitement of seeing your phone light up with messages that make your heart smile. Feel the comfort of knowing that communication between you flows naturally and effortlessly. As these inner experiences become emotionally familiar, you begin expecting them without strain. You stop trying to make something happen because within you it has already happened. This quiet confidence is reflected in your daily life. You become more patient, less reactive, and more trusting because your inner reality feels more solid than temporary appearances. Over time, your outer experiences begin reflecting the assumptions you have consistently entertained. The conversations you imagined start resembling the conversations you receive. The affection you felt inwardly begins appearing outwardly through thoughtful messages, genuine compliments, unexpected check-ins, and sincere expressions of love. Your specific person may begin texting more frequently, sharing their feelings with greater openness, and expressing a desire to spend more time with you. They may admit that they have realized how important you are to them and that they can clearly see a future together. These moments feel natural because they are simply catching up with the reality you have already accepted within. Continue honoring your imagination as a place of creation rather than doubt. Fill it with scenes that imply your wish is fulfilled. Let every inner conversation affirm that you are deeply loved, joyfully pursued, and wholeheartedly chosen. The more consistently you live from those conversations, the more effortlessly your outer world begins reflecting them. Soon the loving messages, heartfelt confessions, and genuine commitment you once imagined no longer exist only in your mind. They become part of your lived experience, reminding you that every beautiful relationship is first nurtured in consciousness before it blossoms in the world you can see. The most attractive quality you can embody is not the ability to persuade someone to love you. It is the quiet confidence of already knowing that you are worthy of being loved completely. True transformation begins the moment you stop asking, "What do I need to do to make them choose me?" and start living from the certainty that you are already someone who is naturally chosen, appreciated, and deeply valued. The version of you who experiences a relationship filled with constant communication, heartfelt confessions, and genuine commitment does not spend every day worrying about being forgotten or replaced. That version of you wakes up expecting love because love has become part of your identity. They do not chase reassurance because they already carry reassurance within themselves. They are not defined by another person's actions. They are defined by the belief that they deserve consistency, respect, affection, and lasting devotion. This shift in self-concept changes everything. When you see yourself as someone who is enough exactly as you are, you naturally release the habits of overthinking, overanalyzing, and seeking constant validation. Instead of wondering why your specific person has not replied yet, you assume they enjoy talking with you and will reach out in perfect timing. Instead of fearing that they may lose interest, you confidently believe that your presence enriches their life. Instead of imagining reasons they might pull away, you imagine countless reasons they are drawn closer every day. These assumptions gradually become your emotional foundation, and because they feel so natural, they begin influencing how you speak, think, and respond in every situation. Imagine yourself moving through each day with complete inner security. You are not checking your phone every few minutes, hoping for proof that you are loved. You are living your life fully, knowing that love flows to you effortlessly. Your specific person notices this change. They experience you as calm, authentic, joyful, and emotionally grounded. Conversations become lighter because fear is no longer leading them. Your confidence invites openness. Your peace encourages trust. Your emotional stability creates a safe space where genuine connection can flourish. As you consistently embody this version of yourself, your specific person begins reflecting those same qualities back to you. They become more expressive with their emotions, more intentional with their communication, and more willing to share their heart. They begin texting more often because connecting with you feels natural. They tell you how much they appreciate your presence, how often you cross their mind, and how deeply they value the bond you share. They no longer hesitate to express affection because your own inner certainty has removed the barriers created by fear and doubt. Eventually, conversations naturally shift toward commitment. They begin speaking about shared dreams, future plans, and the desire to build something meaningful together. What once seemed difficult now unfolds with surprising ease, because you are no longer trying to earn love. You are simply allowing your inner belief to be reflected outwardly. Remember that the relationship you experience is always influenced by the relationship you have with yourself. When you honor your own worth, you naturally expect others to honor it as well. When you believe you are deserving of loyalty, love, and commitment, you stop settling for stories of uncertainty. You begin identifying only with the reality where you are cherished completely. Stay faithful to this identity even if the outer world takes time to reflect it. Every day you choose confidence over insecurity, gratitude over fear, and certainty over doubt. You strengthen the version of yourself who naturally experiences lasting love. In time, the evidence becomes undeniable. Your phone fills with thoughtful messages. Your specific person openly confesses their feelings. They consistently prioritize your connection and joyfully express their readiness to commit. These experiences do not arrive because you forced them into existence. They arrive because you became the person for whom they are entirely natural. When you truly believe you are already worthy of extraordinary love, the world begins responding in ways that beautifully confirm that belief. The final and perhaps most life-changing principle is to live from the end, allowing the fulfilled relationship to become your present identity instead of your future hope. Most people spend their days thinking about what they want, wishing for the next text, hoping for a confession of love, or wondering if commitment will ever arrive. That mindset keeps love in the future, always just out of reach. Instead, choose to think from the experience of already having everything your heart desires. Wake up each morning with the quiet confidence of someone who is already in a loving, committed relationship. Let your first thoughts be filled with gratitude instead of questions. Rather than asking, will they text me today? Naturally assume, we love talking to each other every day, instead of wondering, do they really love me? Settle into the certainty that our love is strong, genuine, and grows deeper every day. These assumptions may seem simple, but they gradually become the foundation of your emotional reality. When you consistently think from the end, you stop reacting to temporary appearances because your inner world already feels complete. You are no longer waiting for life to convince you that you are loved. You are allowing your own conviction to shape the experiences that follow. Imagine your specific person joyfully sending you long, meaningful messages throughout the day. Hear them saying, I can't stop thinking about you. You're the best part of my day, and I know you're the person I want to spend my future with. Feel the happiness of reading those words as though they are already yours. Picture yourself smiling as your phone lights up, not with surprise, but with the calm expectation that loving communication is simply part of your everyday life. Let yourself experience the relief, excitement, and gratitude that naturally come with knowing you are deeply loved and completely chosen. The more often you return to this fulfilled state, the more natural it becomes. Soon you no longer have to force yourself to believe it because it feels like your new normal. This inner consistency transforms the way you interact with the world. You become more patient because you are no longer desperate for proof. You become more joyful because your happiness is no longer postponed. You become more confident because your identity is rooted in abundance rather than lack. Others notice this change, including your specific person. They begin responding to the version of you who expects love instead of chasing it. Conversations become easier. Affection flows more freely. They start reaching out first, keeping the conversation going, and finding reasons to remain connected. Their words become more sincere, their attention becomes more consistent, and their desire to build a future together grows stronger. Because they are reflecting the reality you have already accepted within yourself. Living from the end also means refusing to give temporary setbacks more power than your chosen assumption. A delayed reply, a busy schedule, or an ordinary day does not shake your confidence, because you know that one moment cannot define the story you have consciously chosen. You remain loyal to the version of reality where love is secure, communication is effortless, and commitment is inevitable. This persistence is what allows your inner world to become your outer experience. Every day you remain faithful to your fulfilled identity, you strengthen the pattern that your life begins to mirror. Eventually, what once existed only in your imagination appears in tangible ways. Your specific person texts you more often than ever before. They openly confess emotions they once struggled to express. They tell you how much you mean to them, how grateful they are to have you in their life, and how ready they are to build a lasting relationship together. What once felt like a distant dream now feels completely ordinary because it has become your lived experience. Continue returning to the end result whenever doubt tries to distract you. Let gratitude replace waiting, certainty replace fear, and fulfillment replace longing. When you faithfully live as the version of yourself who is already loved, already chosen, and already committed to, the outer world naturally aligns with that inner truth. In time, the relationship you once imagined becomes the relationship you joyfully live every single day, proving that the most powerful change always begins within.